Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's coaching webinar. This is Tim Mai, and on the line I have Ronald Hoff with us today as well. And Ron is going to teach all of us about bulk REOs and I guess and also about non-performing notes and performing notes as well, how to find them, how to, more importantly, how to pre-screen for them, because as you're going to learn in a little bit here, that that market is just filled with, you know, tire kickers and fake people and I don't know what you call them, but they're just not non-productive people. and so you know, you gotta know how to find them. You gotta know how to pre-screen them, and Ron's gonna teach you about all of that stuff today. So, Ron, let's get started, buddy.
Okay. Yeah, how's everybody doing? I guess we're gonna talk a little bit about the bulk REOs. I just kind of briefly threw this together, so a lot of it's going to be at the end with answering any questions that you have. So just got a quick PowerPoint that I threw together. So how to do bulk REOs, which also NPNs, which is non-performing notes, and the PNs, which is the performing notes. Okay.
You know, just real quick, and explain to people what each one of these things are.
Okay. The REOs stands for real estate owned, and that's actual foreclosed properties that the banks have taken back. So after the foreclosure process, and the bank actually has taken back possession of the property, they call it banks just call them real estate owned. So they're foreclosures that the banks have, and then they actually liquidate them. A lot of them they'll do single with realtors, and they also do large packages in bulk. So they'll have large quantities. I mean, actually, and it could be smaller quantities. I mean, it could be packages of 10, 20, 100 thousands that they'll actually sell at one time. So that's what we're doing. We're dealing with the larger packages where the banks, where we actually get into the bank, to the asset manager, or also, and they also could be actually private sellers too, that maybe they purchase them themselves, like hedge funds, and then they're selling them. So that's also another source for these type of properties. And typically the REOs are single family residence, condos, those type of properties. And then also, the next one is the non-performing notes. That's when the lenders have not actually foreclosed on them, but they actually have notes that are not performing. They're not being paid as agreed. They're in some form of distress, but they have not actually foreclosed on them yet. So they could be 30 days behind, 60 days. I mean, it could be a year behind. So they're not performing as agreed. So, and then the next one is your performing notes. These are the ones that they're actually paying. They're paying the notes as agreed, and the lenders will discount those and sell those to raise cash. So those are basically the three areas that we're dealing with the bulk assets that we're trying to acquire. And what I put on here is that the first step is just building relationship with sources. There's a lot of ways to build relationships with sources to acquire these properties. But I just put down what I like, because everybody uses the internet, and I don't see that as the best source. I mean, you can use the internet. I mean, you can build relationships there, but it's best like anything in real estate, just like with the with single family properties. I mean, it's still a relationship business, and especially I think it's even more so with these bulk REOs, because like Tim was saying, there's a lot of people out there that are phony and they're not for real. So if you have a direct relationship with the person, you're less likely to be dealing with somebody that's going to be lying to you. So, but I put in what I like. The couple of the best sources I like is just to talk directly to the financial institution, because I mean, whoever you bank with, I mean, everybody has a relationship with a bank, and banks are into relationships. I mean, the longer you've been with a bank, the easier it is to talk to them. I mean, and you just go to, I mean, especially if you've been with a bank for 10 years or longer, you should have some kind of relationship with them that you can go in there and talk to the bank manager and just say, look, I'm into real estate, finding distressed assets for buyers that I work with, and I'd like to know who in your bank, who actually handles your distressed assets, who is your distressed asset manager. And if you had a relationship with them, they'll talk to you and try to get you on the right track and forward you that information. Hopefully they won't try to send you to a website, because you don't want to go to a website. You want them to actually give you the name of the person within the bank that actually deals with these distressed assets. And that's one of the toughest part, is actually to get to them, because a lot of people are trying to get to them and waste their time. But like I said, if you have a relationship with them, they're much more likely to take you seriously and forward that information, forward you on to the right person. So, and you got to be persistent. You might have to make a few phone calls to try to get to the right person to talk to. And then when you get to them, you just tell them that you work for buyers looking for distressed assets, because you do work for the buyer, even though you're finding the asset, and then you're gonna get in touch with me and let me know, hey, look, I have a potential source, and then we're gonna follow up. But that is working for the buyer. So and we do have a strong buyers network, as Tim told you, that the deal's $700 million, so it shows that it's actually a real buyer. And you want to be honest. You want to be yourself, and keep it simple. I mean, it's still basic real estate. It's just dealing with larger numbers. Because if you're not honest, or if you try to make it out like you have more experience or something, they're gonna find it out. But just let them know. And whatever experience you have in real estate in general, you can just definitely use that. I mean, if you've been dealing with just regular single-family properties, for a number of years, then that's experience, and that helps you in this business. So you want to use that experience. And then the other thing that I really like is just to tell everybody, because I just started telling everybody that I know what I'm doing. I mean, tell them that you work with finding sellers for buyers who buy large packages of distressed assets directly from the bank or seller. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a bank, and also financial institutions. So when I say bank, I'm also talking about any financial institution. Other sellers are hedge funds and just private sellers, because basically even these buyers that we have, they also become sellers. Most of them, they'll buy a large package at times and break them up and resell them. So in that case, they would become the seller. And also let them know that there will be something in it for them. I mean, everybody wants to know that, okay, if they find you a good source and you end up doing a deal, that they will be compensated, because it's only fair that if they gave you a good source, that they should get paid. And there's enough money to go around. Nobody should be greedy. But if you let people know, look, I mean, but tell them it's got to be a good source. You want sources from relationships. I mean, so those are just the best sources. I mean, you can go to the internet. You can go on forums. You can use the social media sources. I mean, Facebook, LinkedIn. You can use those sources and try to work on building relationships with different sources. But I find that the best ones are if you actually know the person. I mean, if you have a relationship with somebody, it's less likely that they're going to be telling you tales, or right, telling you they have deals or something that they don't have. I mean, it's just that there's a lot of that going around, because I've talked with a lot of people, and a lot of them, they don't really have a deal, and maybe they don't know that they don't have a deal, or it's like they say, well, I'm direct to the seller, and then I find out that they may be 4 or 5 away from the seller, and that's not direct. If you're direct, you're right there. I mean, you're the seller's representative. I mean, you make a call and you're directly to the seller. But so when you know somebody, they're more likely to be honest with you, and because you need to know all that. You need to know because the buyer is going to ask for this information, and if you don't have the answers for the buyer, then it's not going to go anywhere. It's going to stop right there.
Right.
Okay.
And you know, just to make a note here too, like if you guys are going to be contacting banks, you might want to also considering, you know, like even specializing in a certain state, a certain area. You know, for example, like the $700,000 deal that we're working on, the guy who refers us the bank, he specialized in just 3 states, and that's it. He specialized in Colorado, California, and Texas, and that's all that he specialized in. And so he gets to know all of the banks, all of the big players in those states. And what I'm trying to tell you is that you can make a lot of money just focusing on even just one state, like whatever state that you are in, become the expert in that state. And so whenever the buyer's looking for in that state, it makes it easier for us to find you. And you know, and yeah, it'll be a lot more serious. Now, it's possible that the banks have properties all over the U.S. However, you're focusing your contact into like specific area or specific state, and just become a specialist in that. So I just wanted to add that.
Right. Yeah. That's very important, because on myself, I'm basically focusing just on Maryland, because I'm in Maryland. I know people in Maryland, so I'm basically myself focusing on sources in Maryland, because that's where I have relationships. I mean, I've got relationships with banks for I don't know, about 15 years with one bank, and another 6 years with another bank. So I've just started with there, and it's real easy to get in there and talk with the people that you need to associate with. Another thing is association, because I belong to the tip of it's a weekly leads generating group. There's other groups too with different names that meet once a week, and it's interesting because I'm in this group with my my office products business, but you know we have a banker in the group. So so I just arranged to meet with him, and actually he's in their corporate office. He doesn't even work out of the branch, and so he's at a VP level, which I guess there's a lot of VPs, but he's at a high enough level, and he's been in banking long enough that he's working on finding me who to deal with in that particular bank. So that's just another way.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So like joining like your Chamber of Commerce and your BNI groups, those type of business groups are ideal for this too, because bankers hang out at those places.
Yeah, yes they do. I mean, I've been a member of this group for probably 12 years, and we've always had a banker. I mean, we've had different bankers in there, but we've always had a banker in the group.
Is it like a BNI group that you belong to, or
yes, it is. It is like BNI. It's called Lead Tip.
Okay.
So and they only allow one business. So the whole idea is that there's not competition.
Right. Okay.
But like with lawyers, they could be like 4 or 5 lawyers, but they all specialize in something different.
Right.
So, yeah, and those are great because you see the person every week, and so they, it's real easy to build, to get in there and to get them to be, to work with you. So that works very well.
Right, and those kind of groups, I mean, they're good not just for these book REO stuff, but they're very good for your real estate deals as well, your single family deals, because they might have clients that are looking to sell a house or looking to buy houses as well, and those kind of groups, I mean, they're in there to do business with each other and refer business to each other, and so do join yourself in those kind of groups, and we'll talk more about these kind of groups on the next coaching call there. But yeah. Yeah,
and they encourage it, and actually you can get kicked out if you don't pass leads. So they encourage you to do business with everybody, with the members.
Right.
That's another thing that's real good about it. So. Okay, well, let's go back to it. Well, yeah, now, and then basically it's really, you really want to keep it simple. I mean, it's really basically is, finding a true, and I said true seller because there's a lot of phony people out there, but you want to find a seller, you want to find a buyer, and then you want to get an NC and D sign, which is the, I'll get into more into exactly what that is, and then you want to vet or screen as much as possible the buyer or seller. Because you want to make sure that you're passing along real sources, and that's why it goes into the better your relationship with the person, the easier it is to know that okay, they're for real. And then you want to forward the deal to the seller's or buyer's representative. And in this case with this group, you forward those deals to me, and then I'll move it forward from there. Next screen I got here is finding a true seller. I mean, a true seller should have direct access to the bank or the seller. I mean, they're not 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 away. I mean, they actually did their work. They built that relationship. They actually do have direct access, and they've done business before with them. I mean, they have a relationship. So how strong is the relationship between the seller and the seller's representative or the intermediary? So you want to know that, because typically the person bringing you the deal is probably it's not going to be the seller. It's going to be either the seller's representative or an intermediary, and most likely it's going to be an intermediary.
Hello?
Did we lose Ron?
I think we did.
We can just read off his slides.
I'm Skyping him and see. Maybe let's see, his audio is still on, so maybe something happened to his mic or something. Oh, he's offline now, so something happened to his computer. It must have got frozen.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you back?
There he is.
Hey, can you hear me? Yeah, I had a message. My audio was lost. What did it do? Locked up?
Yeah, we didn't hear you.
Yeah, where did you lose me at?
Well, just start back at this slide.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just getting in finding a true seller. I mean, a true seller should have direct access to the bank or to the seller. Like I said, it doesn't, or a financial institution or a seller. It can be a private seller. It doesn't have to actually be a financial institution.
Right.
And what's important is how strong is the relationship between the seller and the seller's representative or the intermediary. Usually the people that you're dealing with are going to be intermediaries, and then they will have a relationship with the seller's representative. But you want to know how strong is that relationship? How long have they actually known the seller or the seller's representative, and how have they done any deals with them? So you want to know that information, because the stronger that their relationship with the seller's representative or the seller, the more likely that they are for real. So I'll put down how well do you know your source to the seller. So that's real important, is how well you know your source. So if your source is the intermediary, how well do you know that person? Did you just meet them online, or have you known them for a couple years? And even if it's somebody that they're in your, I don't know, they're in your neighborhood association, and you just know that they're in the finance industry, and you meet them once a year at your yearly picnic. I mean, that's knowing the person. That's good enough. So I mean, but that kind of stuff is important. So the better you know the person, the more likely they're going to be for real, and there's somebody you can trust, because that's, unfortunately, there's a lot of issues with trust in this business. So people that of course, I put that again, are the best sources. And you don't have to know them really directly, but you need to. The better you know them, the better it is. So, and And real sellers, I mean, they're going to have and they will give you their protocol on how to do business with them, because that's important, because sometimes you'll find out that even from the protocol that it's not a true seller. For example, they'll come back and say, well, you have to deal with us. You can't deal directly with the seller. Well, that's not a true seller. That's a broker. Or they'll say that it's 6 points and that's it. It's not negotiable. Brokers set points. So the buyers that we represent, they want to be able to deal directly with the seller and cut their deal. They understand that they're going to pay points, but they don't want a broker telling them how many points they're going to pay or adding extra points. So that helps a lot just by having that protocol. And sometimes that will tell you if it actually is a true seller or if it is a broker. The brokers like to control everything. They don't really want to let you get directly to the seller. And let's see, next one. Okay, and then it comes to finding a true buyer. A buyer that, of course, common sense. A buyer that actually has the money to close and has no problems proofing up to the seller. And proofing is just showing proof of funds. Now, a real buyer, they're not going to be showing proof of funds to everybody, because they want to deal directly with the seller, and they will show the seller that they do have the money to close. And the reason why I'm saying real buyers is there's actually some people out there that are trying to work the bulk real estate business, like the wholesale deals with single REOs where they'll tie the property up and use somebody else's money to actually buy them, and then those are the type of deals that fall apart because they don't really have the money, or they're using a proof of funds letter that's not real, it's not really theirs, and and then they end up messing up, and when they mess up, of course they end up getting blackballed, and there's actually an FBI blacklist for people that just don't play the game the right way. So this is not, at this level, it's not a business for people to be trying to cut deals or trying to flip it and find a buyer so that they can get the buyer before they have to close on it, like you do with single REOs. So you want a buyer that has the money. They're actually going to buy it themselves. They're not looking to shop it for a buyer after they get it locked up. So the buyer knows exactly what they want to buy and at what discount, because that's important, because you don't want to waste anybody's time. You want to know what the buyer wants. The buyer should be able to tell you, what geographic area they want, what kind of discount are they looking for. If it's REOs, they could say, okay, I'm looking for 50%. I want to pay 50% of the BPO for a certain area. I mean, the buyer should be able to tell you that. So you're in a ballpark. I mean, of course they're going to get in and negotiate and do their due diligence, but at least you know what they're looking for, so that if the seller comes back and says, okay, yeah, I have a package and it's 70% of the BPO, and you can just flat out tell them, look, that's not, that's way too high, and that way, not to waste anybody's time. So that part's important. They will only work directly with the seller. I mean, true buyers are only going to work with the seller. They're not going to deal with a broker who's not going to let them get in touch with the seller. They want to be able to do the deal directly with the seller. And there will be, you will find some people that'll say, well, I'm as close as they're going to get to the seller. Then, okay, that's a broker, so that doesn't work for us. I mean, okay. They have done a deal before. I mean, the real true buyers have done a deal before. I mean, they're not new to the game. That's what we're looking for. And that's actually, is the buyers that we actually have, that we're dealing with. They are experienced, they're for real, So, and also, just like the buyers, the sellers have a protocol, the buyers are going to have a protocol too on how to do business with them. So they're going to let you know, okay, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I want. Okay, if you find it, then then we can move forward. So that's all very important. Okay, then I got down to questions. These are questions to ask these sellers, because basically, most of you are going to be, we're going to be looking for sellers where, we do have some buyers that will buy if we can find what they're looking for. So the main thing that we want to focus on is, okay, what questions, what do we need look for so that we can make sure we have a real seller. So these are some questions to ask the seller's rep that are going to be very important, because the buyers are going to want to know all this. So if we can ask this up front, at least we can save that time and let the buyer know, okay, that we did our homework and that we do have a good seller. So how old is the BPO? The broker's price opinion. Okay, that's going to be very important. If they can't tell you that, for example, I had a potential deal that was it was almost $500 million, and it fell apart because the seller would not give me did not have BPOs. They couldn't tell me when the BPO was done and at what price. So the the buyer did not want to move forward, because that's a red flag. You don't know how old it is. Maybe even though the seller said that it was not shopped around, it was not a old package, it could have been old. I mean, they should have BPOs. That should be done. So that was a case where I learned real quickly that if they don't have BPOs, then I can't work with them. And who holds title of the REOs or the inventory? So you want to know who actually has the title of it. The seller should have the title of it, but you want to ask them that, who actually holds the title. Who sets up the purchase agreement? Does the seller set it up, or does the buyer actually set it up? And you want to ask them, okay, do you have history with the bank? We talked about that before. The bank was selling how long? I mean, that's very important, because the more history that they have with the bank, the financial institution, or the actual private seller, I mean, the better. Okay, and what is the pricing? For over 1 billion or 10 billion. I know those are very large numbers, but if the buyer is going to spend that amount of money, I mean, you look at it as if it was your own money. If you were doing a deal, I mean, the more you spend, the bigger discount you want. So if the buyer is going to commit to buying that much, they want a larger discount than normal. So if their normal discount, if they want 50%, they might want a 45% discount if they're going to buy $1 billion. So
right.
they're going to expect a discount.
Right. You got to keep in mind that your billion-dollar buyers, what they do is a lot of time they buy these properties and they break it up and they sell it to the million-dollar buyers. Right, and so that's how the I guess the funnel of these deals happen. Right, they buy billions, they break it up and sell it in millions, and then the millions people break it up and sell it individual for hundreds. so the packages get broken up like that, and so of course the bigger the package, the more discount they expect, so that way there's enough margin in it for them to sell it to the to the millionaires, and the millionaires have enough discount for them to sell it to the thousandaires.
Yeah, and that's where you run into actually buying from a private seller instead of an institution, because they actually like Tim said, they actually bought the larger package and they broke it up, and sometimes they'll do it very quickly. I mean, so it's great for them. They buy it and they immediately break it up and resell it.
Yeah, it's we talk about wholesaling. These guys wholesale on a very different level, and they buy these packages for $1 billion. They turn around, wholesale them very quickly to break it up in smaller chunks and wholesale them very quickly. So a lot of these guys, they're not buying to hold on to these. They're buying to wholesale them out, but they actually will close on them first, fund the deal, close on it, break it up, and then sell it and get their money back. And by doing that, they're able to turn around and use that money. So, I mean, they're able to buy like $1 billion every single month. Every 30 days, they're recycling their money, and that's how they make their money.
Okay. And then the next thing is, has the product been shopped around? I mean, no real buyer wants to at this level. They don't want to buy stuff that's been shopped around. So if it's because the good deals go fast. I mean, if it's a good deal, it's not going to last. I mean, it's going to be gone usually in a matter of days. I mean, that's why it's an insider's game, where you need to have access to the seller, because the deal's gonna be done before it would get out to the general market. So if it's a product that's been out there, been shopped around, it's probably not a deal, or it's not a deal that our buyers are looking for. So they want first crack at something. They want something that has not been put out there on a list for anybody. They want to get in there and buy it before that happens. A lot of times the stuff that gets shopped around is the stuff that is not as good a deal, and so they got to get rid of it any way that they can. And another thing, is it listed with a broker? Okay, if it's listed with a broker, our buyers are not interested. They don't deal with brokers. Okay, is it listed on the internet? Of course, if it's on the internet, then that's not a deal for us. So those are things you want to look for, so to stay away from. And another question is, how many people are between you and the seller? So you want to know that whoever you're dealing with, how far away from it are they from the actual seller? That's very important. And how long is the due diligence process? They all, like I said, these sellers will have their protocol, which will include how long the buyer has for due diligence. So we want to know that. Let's see here. Okay, more questions. Okay, of course the buyer wants to know is if they found a good source, they want to know, can they buy ongoing? And also they want to know, does the seller have bulk REOs, performing notes, and non-performing notes, and at what level? Okay. And of course, very important, can we proof up directly to the bank or the seller? So the buyer does not want to show everybody their information. It's a need to know. So I'll never see their information, and I have no need to see it. They only want the person that's actually buying to see their personal information. So they want to know that, can they proof up directly to the bank? Because there's going to be some people say, well, no, you got to proof up to me, and a lot of times that's brokers and all that do that. So our buyers want to be able to proof up directly to the seller. And what geographical areas do you have product in? Because like Tim said earlier, it doesn't. It could be a local bank, but they could have product throughout the whole country. So they can have product in.
Your audio is breaking up again, Ronald. If you can hear me. There's static now. Or is that me?
Now I hear it too.
You hear it also? Okay. While we're waiting for Ronald, Richard has a question. If we get this seller to you guys and the buyer makes subsequent deals, do we get a commission or fee? The answer is yes. You would get a commission for the.
Okay, I think I'm back now.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I lost audio. Yeah, I just want to open up at this point for questions, and I've included my cell phone number for anybody to get in touch with me.
All right. Let me see here. Richard was asking, if we get this seller to you guys and the buyer makes subsequent deals, do you get a commission or a fee? And the answer is yes. You get it for the life of that relationship. And earlier I said about the deal that we're doing, and I think I might have mentioned $700K, which I'm so used to dealing with smaller numbers. It's actually $700 million deal, 700M, and that's just the first deal that we're doing, that we're dealing with the seller, and and so whatever deals that we do with this seller contact, for the life of that, we get commission off of that. We make money off of that, and so yeah, this is not a one-time thing, and that's how it works. Once you have a seller and a buyer together, and the transaction went well, the chance of them doing repeat business is really high because, like I said, these guys buy in bulk, and then they break it up and they wholesale it out. They get their money back within a month, and so they buy over and over and over again. And yeah, and so whenever the seller and the buyer buys from each other, all of the middlemen guys get paid on an ongoing basis, unless of course we negotiate otherwise. If let's say if you say, well, I don't care to get paid on an ongoing basis, I'd rather get paid more on the first deal, and then whatever deal you guys do after that, I don't get a piece of, then that's all part of the negotiation. But yeah, but generally speaking, you're in it for the lifetime of that relationship.
Yeah, and the other thing too is I guess I didn't explain that in more detail. You want to get get assigned NC&D once you get a source before you would give them any contact information. That NC&D means non-circumvention, non-disclosure agreement, and in that agreement, they're typically for 3 years or 5 years. So and that covers you. That agreement states that your relationship is covered for that length of time. So any deal that's done during that length of that agreement, and of course the agreement can be extended also, but typically they do say either 3 years or 5 years. Okay, is there any other questions?
I don't see any other questions. You guys have any questions for Ron?
Yeah, and I do have a copy of an NC&D if anybody needs one. So
cool. Yeah. Now while we're waiting for you guys to ask your questions, I'll share with you how we found that $700 million deal. Basically, what I did was I sent out an email to my customers, to all of my friends, just whoever that are in the real estate business. I sent out an email to them, and let them know I have these buyers. And so I got a bunch of people replying saying they have buyers. And this guy that brought us the deal, I actually know of him, and I know he's a serious player. But he replied, so he's one of the people that replied to my emails. And so I contacted him. I contacted him and find out more about the deals that he has. Find out more about the deals that he has, and so we found out some of the deals he has. We brought it to the buyers. They didn't like it. We went back and forth several times before, because some of the deals that we were bringing to the buyers, it was a little bit too high. The price was a little bit too high. And so we finally got a package now with this seller and this buyer, and it's a $700 million package. And if everything goes well, we'll be closing on it here, either toward the end of this month, which might be tricky with Christmas and stuff next week, or the beginning of January here. So and like I said, the person who connected us with the seller, he has contacts with pretty much all the banks in Texas, Colorado, and California, more specifically Southern California. And so, well, I guess not all the contacts, but a lot. So he specializes in those 3 areas, and he's going to be bringing us more deals, and so whatever deals that he brings us, and whatever deals that his sellers and our buyers do together, we make money off of that. Okay, let me see here. Maria asked, can I continue to send you flex option pictures and comps so you can market the deals to your buyers? The answer is yes, Maria, of course. You can do that for the entire year. from now in 2011 as well. So definitely do that. All right, Richard asked, I am finding, like Ron said in the beginning, that this RE industry has a lot of unscrupulous people. They'll screw you if they can. Maybe it's just LA, but how can we assure that any subsequent deals between the buyer and the seller are being paid to me? Well, for us to do a deal with that person, well, number one, we have pretty good control of the buyer, so we know when a deal is going to go through. As far as the seller and, well, because we have control of the buyer side, the seller side will always have to go through us, because and so that's how we protect ourselves. But if should ever both the seller and the buyer decide to go behind our back or something, then that's kind of out of our control. But I think that the relationship that we have with our buyers is pretty strong, and so I doubt that's going to be the case.
Yeah, and the other thing you want to do is that's why you always want to. It definitely helps when you have a relationship with the people you're dealing with, but a lot of times you don't, and only thing you have is really their word, and then you have to have the NC&D. I mean, I can't stress that enough. If somebody's not willing to sign that agreement, I mean, it's that's a red flag right there, because the agreement protects them also, and it protects prior relationships. So there is a possibility that that they could already be dealing with that source, but that NC&D would protect that. It excludes it excludes existing relationships. So
right.
So it protects both sides, and so and also what it does, it basically just states in there that that they're gonna be honest, and that they're going to, if there's a deal done, they're not going to go behind your back. It's also a federal crime if they do. So I mean, they could get in some legal trouble. I mean, a lot of trouble if they do that. But hopefully that they sign the agreement, they will honor it.
Right. All right. Answer this question here, Ron. Do you need a real estate license to do this?
No. No, you don't. You don't need a real estate license to do this. I mean, only we're just acting. We're just helping to put the deal together. So that's the beauty of it. We're just connecting the buyer and the seller, and then they're doing all of the legal paperwork and everything that's needed to get the deal done.
Right. That's correct. Yeah, we don't get into the middle of negotiating the deals or anything like that. That's when, when you're negotiating deals for other people, that's when you need a license. But in our case, we're just doing referrals. So, okay. Chris asks, do you and this other fellow get compensated the same? The answer is it depends. In the case of the deal we're doing, the guy who has the direct contact with the seller actually get more money than we are getting, and because we don't have the direct contact with the seller. But it's all negotiable. It's all negotiable, and so you just negotiate until you get a deal that's fair for you and him. Okay, Bob asked, if I can buy a bulk package, how do I present it to you so I know I have it sold before I make an offer, because I don't have my own money for deposit?
Well, you don't. I mean, that's the beauty with it. You don't have to put any money up. You're not with these bulk deals. You're not using any of your money.
Right. You would put us in contact with the seller, so you wouldn't even be the one that put in the offer, unless you're talking about like a small, like a really small package, like Ron, you've been doing this with those is it Michigan?
Oh yes, yeah. Memphis. I've been
Memphis properties where it's a small package, you know, of whatever 5-10 properties from the MLS. That's a different type of bulk package than what we're talking about here. In cases like that, then yeah, you're gonna have to you make sure you consult with us to see if we have buyers for that area before you make an offer on it. But the kind of bulk oils that Ron's talking about here are the much bigger package, and we're buying it directly from the bank. It's not on the MLS or anything like that.
Yeah, and also with these, since we're not the actual buyer, we don't have to put any money up. The actual buyer will have to once they decide to do a deal, they will be required to pay a deposit, but they're going to pay it. So we don't have to worry about that because we're not actually buying anything.
Right. Richard asked, are we all in this program for the next year? The answer is yes, Richard. Yes. Okay, let me see here. Cheryl asked, what is the smallest package you will accept? I see lots of packages online. Are those okay to send to you, or should we stick with local banks, etc.?
Yeah, I mean the stuff online is that goes in the category of usually stuff that's been shopped around. That stuff is usually not deals because it's too many eyes have already seen it, and if they're good deals, they're gonna be gone so fast. It becomes insignificant because the good deals are gonna go quick. But typically stuff that's on the internet is typically not a deal. At least as far as our buyers are concerned, they're very sophisticated and they're very picky about what they want.
Right. Okay, let me see here. Richard asked, what's the split between due deals and me on these bulk oil deals? It varies, Richard. It depends on the deal. It depends on who are all involved and how much we, who are all involved and what the buyer and the seller agree to agree, to be willing to pay to us as the points that we get. And so on bulk oils, there's no standard. I can't tell you, oh, we split 50-50. It's going to be a case-by-case basis. And same thing, like I don't know ahead of time how much money I'm going to make on that deal either. It could just be like, it could be a point, it could be a quarter of a point, it could be, it could be like a point, 0.05% of a point. I mean, you have deals where there's like 6-7 parties involved in the deal, and so it all depends. The bigger the deals, the more likely that there's more people involved, and so it's going to be a case-by-case basis. I can't tell you what the split is ahead of time. Anyone else have any questions? Ron, with those banks that you've bought those small package of houses from, have you thought about going back to those banks and see if they have bigger packages that they're interested in selling?
You know what? Yeah. Actually, I have thought of that. I guess I need to go ahead and do that. Yeah, because I haven't actually done that because that's actually in Memphis. But what I've done is I've been kind of focusing on going to banks here locally. I mean, here in Maryland, where I live at. But that is a good point.
Right. Yeah, because they've already shown you've already shown them that that you're a serious buyer, so you might want to.
No, yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, and I have a good reputation there in Memphis. So you're right. So because that's a good point too. Is that when you when you do business, you want to follow through, even on the especially like on these smaller REOs, when you put your name out there, you want to follow through because you will get a reputation. And it's like a small world. It's like all the realtors talk and stuff. So even though you'll find out people that know you that you haven't actually done direct business with them, but I guess through other realtors, they'll know who you are.
Right. Right. Okay. All right. Let me see here. Richard asked, is it going to be close to 50-50 on the fee earned, whether that fee is a point or 5% of a point? Well, there's a more likelihood it's a third, I guess 33% of whatever we earn, and not 50%, because but like I said, it's a case by case basis. It depends on the deal, and so I can't commit to any percentage, and it's all negotiable too at that point. If I can negotiate for, if I can, if I can negotiate for us to make more money out of the deal, then we'll all make more money out of the deal. But if there's just too many parties involved and too many splits, and depending on how much work you, for example, if I know. I guess a better way to explain it is this: if your relationship is that if your relationship is that you are directly with the seller, then yes, our split will be 50-50. But if your relationship is that you're referring us to someone who is directly with the seller, then your split is less. Does that help? Okay. And so it depends on your position. It depends on your position in that chain of the transaction. So the closer you are to the seller, the higher the percentage that you yourself will get out of the deal. Okay, let me see here. Do all banks have bulk REOs, and will they even talk with person without much experience? Ron, can you answer that?
Oh, well, yeah. Well, basically, okay. As far as the banks talking with you, I did say that you want to be yourself, and you want to tell the truth. They will talk with you, and also what you do in the beginning is you can use the experience, any experience that you have in real estate, but also you utilize us. We have experience, so if need be, you get us involved, or you can have us call them. I don't have a problem calling any of these sources for you, and then what you do is, what I recommend, especially if you're new, is set up a conference call. Okay, we do a conference call. I will do the talking, and then you listen in, and then you gain experience that way. But I think that's the best way to kind of handle it. If you can get a source, let's do a conference call with them.
Right. Okay. Let me see here. Is it okay to advertise that I have buyers for bulk REOs? Yeah, it's okay for you to advertise that.
Yeah, because you do have buyers.
Right. Okay. Maria asked, it sounds that banks, they already have the people they deal with. I don't think they would deal bulk with a newbie. what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, and some cases yes, but it's tougher. The thing is that they want to deal with real buyers. I mean, a lot of them are frustrated because there's not real buyers. I talked to a guy last week that's been in the game for quite a while, and I mean, he said 99% of buyers are holding. So the thing is, if you can convince them that, look, you have real buyers. I mean, that's something that, so they can have relationships, but they might not have enough relationship with real buyers. So you have to be persistent. You have to be confident, and still just keep pushing forward. I mean, I don't care how many times that I hear no, or if something. I mean, I'm gonna keep pushing forward, and I know that it's gonna work out. I know that I'm gonna eventually get to the right person. So it's like in any other stuff. It is a numbers game. Hey, if you go to one bank and you strike out, go to the next one. You could be surprised. I mean, you could call on a source and they could have a brand new asset manager that doesn't know anybody. I mean, there's all kinds of possibilities out there if you're thinking positive. But is it tougher? Yeah. I mean, you've got to learn the game and the lingo and how to talk to them. But that's where I say use us. If you can get a source, and that's also where personal relationships come in. If you know the person, or if it's somebody that you know and they have a good relationship with the asset manager, it makes it so much easier, because you could be a total newbie, but because there's some kind of relationship, they'll talk to you, and they might even help to educate you because you have a relationship with them. So you don't want to give up, but you definitely want to, and you just want to get out there and keep plugging away, and use us. I mean, I don't have a problem with you calling me. I mean, I'm here to help, and I mean, I give you my cell phone number, but you just got to be confident that is it going to be some challenges? Yes, but you got to look at it at the end. Is it worth it? So, but don't let the the odds out there or thinking that, okay, well, everything's already taken up, because it's not. I mean, you'd be surprised, and that's why sometimes it's better to just, if you can target a local bank, because there might be less competition, that less likely that somebody actually went in there and already got them locked up. So because everybody wants to go for the big sources. Everybody wants B of A, and they want the FDIC and Fannie and Freddie and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and so you stay away from those and go for the smaller institutions where you have a better chance of success.
Right, exactly. Richard said, this is amazing. I have spent much driving neighborhoods, walking properties, building my buyers list, reading books, etc. This bulk audio looks like a lot less time for the same or larger payoff. The answer is yes and no. When you're dealing with real sellers and you're dealing with real buyers, then the answer is yes. It's a lot less time and the payoff is a lot higher. But what happens in this business is that you have to weed through like a lot. You weed through a lot of tire kickers, unreal people to find the gem. So it's diamond in the rough, So you gotta gotta dig deep. So yeah. Now, like in your case, Richard, I mean, if you're able to get directly with the seller, then yes. I mean, this whole thing is going to be much easier because we do have real buyers, and so it makes things much easier, no doubt. But I mean, Ron will tell you. I don't know how many people he had to weed through.
Yeah, lots and lots of calls, lots. I mean, it is. I mean, it is. it's definitely is something that you do have to have patience with. And I mean, I wouldn't stop doing your other deals. This is something. I mean, you do your other deals because they're easier to do, and they're faster. And it's kind of like what I mean, you got your singles out there. You want to you want to keep getting those singles. You don't always go for a home run because you could starve while you're waiting. I mean, yeah, granted, one of these large deals, yeah, I mean, you could do one of these deals and I mean, some people might say, okay, I do one of these deals and I'm done. I mean,
Right.
it is possible that you can make that much on one deal, but you shouldn't just totally focus on just doing that. I mean, you should keep doing what you do because you need to have income coming in. So it'll frustrate you if you stopped everything and you did this and nothing happened for 6 months. I wouldn't recommend doing that. So, but you can do this in addition to what you're doing. Just being aware and put it out there that look, this is what I do. You'd be surprised. And think of who you already know. I mean, you might know somebody that actually is in that position.
Right.
I mean,
well,
I can go back to high school. I go back. I mean, you go back to I go back to high school because I know there's some people that I know that are in the banking industry from high school, and it's just contact those type people because you might not have talked to them in 10 years, but you have a good relationship with them, or you had a good relationship with them, and they're easy to talk to because they know you.
Right. Well, in case of Richard, he's been a CPA for I don't know how many years. I think like 20 years or something like that. If I'm not over 30 years, and so he knows a lot of bankers.
Oh wow!
So in his case, it's different. It's unique.
Yeah, that is. Richard, I would jump all in this. Yes.
Yeah, and I mean Southern California is really hot right now. A lot of buyers are interested in that market.
Very hot.
So yeah, and so if you can find a lot of bankers there, then yeah, we're pretty golden, and so that's definitely good. All right, y'all. Well, we are going to we're gonna go ahead and end tonight's webinar, and we'll see you guys back next week, same bat time, same bat channel. I know it's gonna get closer to Christmas next week. Hope you guys are still working next Tuesday. But we have 2 more coaching webinar calls for next what is that, next Tuesday, and then the following Tuesday. So I think that's the 21st and the 28th. All right, and so make sure you guys come on, and I look forward to talking to you more next week, y'all. All right, bye, everybody. Thanks, Ron. That was an awesome teaching you did today, buddy.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thanks everybody for being here. So just give me a call if you need to talk about this. So I love to talk to everybody about this.
Awesome. All right, y'all. Well, thanks. You guys have a good one. Bye-bye.